Hello, everyone. My name is Charles Jeffrey Detekoke, your instructor for today. In 1883, a young man, William Alexander Smith, and his two associates, James Arrow Hill and John B. Hill, planned a way of molding the characters of some boys at their missions in the school in Glasgow. Since then, society has changed, and the boy has changed. The Boys Brigade has changed also, but the fundamentals of the method adopted in the early days have changed little over the years. The method certainly was valid for the boy of 1883, as its success showed. The question so often asked by people within and outside the Boys Brigade is whether the method is still valid for the boy of today. The range of activities in the Boys Brigade today is extremely wide, and there are remarkably few restrictions upon the officer with regards to the nature of activities. Sometimes, however, the activities may seem to be ends in themselves, laudable no doubt, but apparently not lasting importance. This is the attitude of some parents who comment, well, he won't come to any harm if he's at the Boys Brigade. It keeps him out of mischief. Such people cannot see beyond the activities to the reason for their inclusion in the baby method, and many baby officers are often similarly blind. Let us take a look at the Boys Brigade method and assess its relevance for the boy of today. The company. This is the first method the Boys Brigade uses in achieving her aim. Most of the work done by the Boys Brigade is carried out through the individual company. If the company is doing its job, the boy will feel that he belongs there, that he is an important part of it, and that the officers and the boys who make up the company are concerned about him as an individual. He will trust and respect the officers and will look to them for guidance, advice, and help. This means that the officers must make themselves worthy of that trust. The status of the officer in the eyes of the boys is of the greatest importance, and this places a heavy burden of responsibility upon every officer. If the boy cannot feel secure in his membership of the company and in his relationship with his officers, he is much more likely to absorb the values for which the company stands. The Boys Brigade offers not just a series of recreational activities, but a way of life, and this should be reflected in the whole life of the company and its officers. The personal relationship between the officer and the boy developed as a result of the company organization is a vital important part of the baby method. The need still exists today, as it has always done, for some agency for good that will win the respect of the boy and give him. This method, we know that there are possible weaknesses and there are strengths in this method. The possible weaknesses may include that the boys may be unable to appreciate the big national picture, arrogant self-sufficiency. That's the I don't need anyone syndrome. And there's also limited resources here in the company. But the strengths of this system is that there's a sense of belonging. The basic group is organized and is a manageable size. So, like I said earlier, the need for this method still exists as it has always done. The second method is church relationship and Christian education. The way of life that the Boys Brigade represents takes its character from the relationship that it has within the Christian church. Every company must be part of a church and other Christian organization. Junior section boys must participate in some authorized form of Christian education, and this forms part of the program of every company and senior section. Usually through the company Bible class, either as a separate class or as part of the family worship of the church. By this means, the boy is shown how Christianity is relevant to the life and age in which he is living. It is no exaggeration to say that this weekly meeting is the powerhouse of the baby company. And it is this, more than anything else, that distinguishes the Boys Brigade method from the method of other youth organizations. In a materialistic age, in which even an active church finds difficulty in communicating with young people. It is this characteristic feature of the Boys Brigade is more than ever needed. The possible weakness of this method is that it loses its distinctive identity. It may become another youth group or youth organization. But the strength of this method is that the reason for the BB exists. That is, it is a church ministry. There's enough resource center, and most especially the Boys Brigade will win boys, and the church will train them. So yes, this method is still relevant today. The other main feature that characterizes the Boys Brigade method is discipline. In the junior section program, of course, this aspect of the method is introduced gradually. The environment in the junior section program is relatively freer and lighter than in other programs, as the company and senior section. The atmosphere is that of the organized playground, and discipline is maintained by keeping the boys continually employed and interested. In the company and senior section programs, discipline is fostered by the use of drill. Boys Brigade drill has been important since the earliest days of the first Glasgow company. However, it no longer takes up such a large portion of the company's time as it did years ago. Yet, although its character, scope, and time allocation have altered, its fundamental purpose and role are still valid today. Drill fosters a feeling of unity and team spirit within the group and instills in the boy the habits of obedience and discipline. The possible weakness of this method is that most of us pick up bad habits from the military. Again, for the less mature, disciplinary methods become abusive. It also creates fear and sometimes a bad learning environment. But even with all of this, the strength of this method is that it helps us to build character, it helps us to prevent anarchy, and most especially creates a better and more civilized environment. So, yes, this method and this rule is still valid today. Uniform. This is another way the Boys Brigade uses in achieving her aims. Uniform. There are probably four main reasons why uniform is effective in the Boys Brigade. Boys, particularly in the younger age ranges, are attracted by the thought of wearing a uniform. Also, the emphasis upon appearing in front of other people smartly turned out a uniform makes the boy aware that his appearance matters. Pride in appearance is an obvious part of that self-respect which is necessary for the development of the well-integrated individual. Also, uniform helps the boy to feel a sense of belonging to the company. Fourthly, it is often true that a person will behave differently in different costumes. A soldier who dons a uniform of a famous regiment becomes part of its tradition. The player who wears his country's colors often plays better than ever before. Also, we can say the boy who wears the Boys Brigade uniform is inevitably associated with the ideas and codes of values for which the Boys Brigade stands. The uniform is a symbol of his acceptance of the way of life pointed out by the Boys Brigade. Possible weaknesses of this method is that there's too strong, the uniform becomes too strong an icon. That is, the uniform gets too much emphasis. We ask, what is more important, the uniform or being dressed uniformly? Another possible weakness is that with the current age, uniform becomes or has become too expensive. We can ask again in this modern age, is our design practical? But even looking at all these weaknesses, the strengths are way higher than this. One of the strengths of uniform is that it's attractive to younger boys. Generally, it instills pride and confidence. It also creates a sense of belonging and it inspires a moral behavior. So, yes, the method of uniform is still relevant for today's boy. Awards. The junior section achievement scheme and the company and senior section award badges systems are graded and progressive, offering a series of short and long-term goals based on a very varied program of activities. Details of these award schemes are dealt with in other lectures, but in principle, they form part of the BB method by presenting a series of challenges to the boy, encouraging him towards the knowledge of his responsibility to the community, and providing him with a means of acknowledging his attainment of a standard of proficiency in certain areas. Like I said, there's a separate scheme for the junior section and there's a separate scheme for the company and senior section. The highest award which any boy can attain in the Boys Brigade is the Queen's Badge for a country like us, or we can also use the Founder's Badge. The possible weaknesses of this method is that the company gets too caught up and misses the object of the Boys Brigade. Some people have also likened us to be like walking Christmas trees. Having so many badges on your arm looks like a Christmas tree decoration. Sometimes the awards become an end to itself. Officers fail to take advantage of the time spent with the boys to meet the object of the Boys Brigade. But the strength of this method is that there's a structured program for boys to pursue. There are also attractive badges to show the achievements they have gotten throughout their time in the Boys Brigade. It also creates a desire to continue in the Boys Brigade. Such awards essentially attract boys to the BBs so that officers can mix with them. The next method are activities. While the needs of the boys of different ages are met in specially designed ways, a four-sided program is followed throughout the whole age range of the Boys Brigade. The four-sided program is based on Luke chapter 2, verse 52, and Jesus increased in wisdom and stature and in favor with God and man. So this four-sided pattern is followed throughout the whole age range of the Boys Brigade program as follows. Christian citizenship, or spiritual as we call it, is to encourage boys to learn about the Christian faith and grow up to become responsible members of the community. Physical. Team games and individual games are activities respectively to encourage a spirit of comradeship and allow individual boys to develop their own particular physique. As they grow older, more adventurous activities are also introduced. Educational, which can also be called enrichment, is to teach something useful or artistic as an introduction to leisure time activities. Examples of craft work of different kinds, music, drama, photography, etc. And fourth pattern is service, that is social, to encourage boys in progressive ways to gain appropriate knowledge and then apply this in practical service to other people. The weakness of this method is that the activities become an end in itself also. Officers fail to take advantage of the time they spend with boys to meet the objectives of the Boys Brigade. Again, it can make us to become jack of all trades, master of none. But in all of this, the strength of this method is that it creates a desire to continue in the Boys Brigade. Such activities essentially attract boys to the BB so that officers can mix with them. But the question is, for what? Another strength is that there's an all-round development of the boy. He is developed spiritually, educationally, physically, and socially. So, yes, this method is very relevant for the boy of today. The seventh method the Boys Brigade uses in achieving her aims is promotions. I would say one of the other features of the Boys Brigade method is the promotion system. There are no boys ranks in the junior section program, but specially selected boys may be appointed leading boys for a period of time. That's in the junior section. In the company and senior section, the graded promotion system of appointing non-commissioned officers, or NCOs as we call them, places on the boy selected a real responsibility and allows them to have a sense of achievement in the fulfillment of their responsibility. It thus satisfies a need in the adolescent boy who is in search of adult status, seeks responsibility as a stepping stone to that status. Because he has undertaken responsibility as a co-worker and a co-planner with the officers, his standing is clearly above that of the privates, and so his growing capabilities are given recognition. Possible weaknesses of this promotion system is that the pyramid becomes pyramidal in structure. Unpromoted boys may decide that they are going to leave the company. There's also referential power. That's referential power is assigned, which results in lower persuasion skills. Again, if mismanaged, the company becomes it creates the climate of fear in the company. But the strengths of this method is that it gives very attractive recognition. It inspires more responsibility with boys. It also elevates the status of boys from ordinary boys to co-workers in the company. And there is an excellent testimony of performance. So yes, this method is still relevant for the boy of today. So these are the 7 methods the Boys Brigade uses in achieving her aim: the company, church relationship and Christian education, discipline, uniform, awards, activities, and promotion. We have now examined and assessed the company with its various programs and the parts played by the various elements in the Boys Brigade method. The temptation when faced with an organization with a tradition is to suggest that this is old-fashioned, but this is not so here. We have seen the justification for the component parts of the BP method, and there is no doubt whatever that the method still works in the hands of capable and energetic men. It's perhaps not too much to suggest that where the method fails, the reason should be sought in the application of the method rather than in the BP method itself. Thank you, and God bless you.